Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Adam, and today I have a different video for you. I had a speed drawing plan for today, but we're not going to do just a speed drawing. That is not good enough for today's video. So today, while we're doing this drawing, I'm going to have a quick paranormal story time. And I've been meaning to make this video for a really long time, but today's the day. And what made me finally decide to do this video is I was sketching a little while ago, and I sketched out this little drawing of some spooky Pokemon. There's a Gengar, Ghastly, and Haunter. And I thought that this would be a perfect fit for a paranormal storytime video. So I've got my outline done that I copied from my original sketch already, and now I'm going to use Prismacolor pencils to add some color to this drawing. So without any more introduction, let's get into this paranormal story time. So what this story centers around is my grandparents' old house, which nobody lives in anymore. And since I was a kid, I've had a whole bunch of unexplained things happen in that house. And after talking with my family a little bit, I found out that multiple family members have all had some weird experiences there too. And that's not to say that the house was that creepy or anything. I actually have a lot more great memories there than I have scary ones, but so many odd things have happened there to so many family members that I don't think it's a coincidence. My very first strange experience began happening when I was probably, I would say about 5 years old or so. And it's also the one that I remember the best, and to this day I still have no explanation for it. As a little kid, I always had a lot of trouble falling asleep. So every night, no matter if I was at home in my bed or if I was staying at my grandparents' house, I would always be the last one lying awake in bed long after everybody else had fallen asleep. When I was at home in my bedroom, it was okay, because I knew that if I laid there long enough, I'd eventually fall asleep. But it was a little bit different when I would stay at my grandparents' house. On the nights when I would sleep over there, we all went to bed at the same time, and all the bedrooms were upstairs on the second floor. Nobody slept with any TVs, radios, or lights or anything on, so during the night it'd be completely dark in the house and totally silent. And every single night I would stay there, the same thing would happen. After probably an hour or so of lying in bed waiting to fall asleep, I'd start to hear some noises in the hallway. These noises would start as a couple of creaks at first, but then it would turn into the sound of someone walking up the staircase, very slowly. And then going all the way back down, step by step, and then all the way back up and down, back and forth, over and over and over. And the real kicker is that I slept with the door open, so I could see straight down the hallway to the staircase, and I could see that there was nobody and nothing on the staircase that could have been making that sound. And this would happen over and over again all night. I could hear the creaking of each individual stair on the way up, and hear each stair creak one by one on the way back down. And it would be non-stop over and over again until I eventually just fell asleep. And the weird thing was that even though I knew this sound shouldn't be happening, it didn't really scare me a whole lot. I would just kind of lie there in bed listening to it, and I remember it being almost hypnotic. After the first time I heard it, I remember telling my grandparents about the footsteps, and they played it down, and they gave me the old standard line that the house was just settling. And I told my mom about it too, and of course she also tried to play it off and tell me that it was probably their cat walking around. And even as a little kid, I knew that there's no way that their tiny little cat would be heavy enough to make that sound. And not to mention the fact that my door was open and I would have been able to see her. But since everyone decided to blame it on my imagination or my grandpa's 200-pound cat, I just dealt with it until one day it just stopped happening and I never heard it again since. Around the same time is when I had a dream that I will never to this day forget. And it didn't make a whole lot of sense, and it wasn't that scary, but it was just weird and it was very memorable. So, to set the stage, when you walk in my grandparents' house, there's a long hallway with a staircase that goes upstairs, and then the rest of the hallway led into the dining room. In this dream, I was walking from the dining room out down the hallway to go look through the glass window in the door to look outside. And the weird thing was that this door in my dream wasn't the same as the door that was actually there in real life. The glass of the window in the door was very wavy, like privacy glass, and I couldn't see through to the outside. Once I reached the door and started trying to look through the glass, I could feel like there was something on the other side. I couldn't see anything, but I could just feel that there was something on the other side of this door. And after a second of looking through this wavy glass, whatever was on the other side of the door hit me hard on the head. And then I woke up. It just instantly, and that was the end of the dream. Well, come to find out, years later, my mom told me about a recurring dream that she used to have about the old front door of their house with the wavy glass. And every time she would have that dream, she would always feel like there was something ominous watching her from the other side of the glass. Now, let me just go ahead and remind you, in case you forgot, that when I was a kid and I had that dream, that door that I dreamt of didn't exist. It had already been replaced with a different one. I have no idea what was supposed to be on the other side of that door, but it still creeps me out to know that both my mom and I had the same dream about the same door, a door that had already been replaced before I was born. Basically, the rest of my childhood was pretty quiet as far as weird experiences go. That was until high school anyway. During high school, my mom and my sisters and myself moved in with my grandpa, who was very sick, and we tried to help him as much as we could. After he eventually passed away, we stayed in the house for a couple more years. Shortly after moving in, though, I started experiencing bad dreams almost every single night. And they weren't always terrifying, but I would say about 8 out of 10 were just not good, which was weird for me because I don't usually have bad dreams, and I actually hardly ever even remember my dreams at all. But during that time, it was an almost nightly occurrence. And it was mostly an annoyance just to not get a good sleep. So I tried not to think about it too much. It was just weird that that house was the only place that, to this day, I consistently have bad dreams in every night. So fast forward a while, and I got the scare of my life one night at about 2 a.m. In my bedroom, I had this set of shelves on my wall that held some books and papers and just some random things in general. And these shelves had been attached to the wall for a long time. They were perfectly fine. They're big, sturdy metal shelves that were bolted into the studs in the wall. Well, one night, while I and everybody else in the house were dead asleep, those heavy-duty shelves that were screwed into the wall all decided to come crashing down to the ground without warning. Now, had the shelves collapsed while I was putting something on them or taking something off, I wouldn't have thought too much of it. But no, these shelves came crashing to the ground in the middle of the night in a completely quiet house, nobody moving, nobody touching the shelves, nobody made a sound, nothing. There's absolutely no reason they should have budged even a little bit. So, after I had been ripped out of a dead sleep by that huge noise and I cleaned up the massive mess that it made, I stayed up the rest of the night. It was so bizarre and so inexplicable that it just creeped me out to the point that I wasn't able to sleep anymore that night. Oh, and the best part is those shelves came crashing down about 1 foot away from my head where I was sleeping, so it felt a little bit threatening. But anyway, there is a lot more to this story, and we're getting pretty far in here, so I don't want to make this video too long, so I might go ahead and make a part 2. I know that the paranormal storytime videos are getting a little tired, so if you want a part 2 to this, go ahead and like this video and let me know in the comments. I kind of hope that you guys do want to see a part 2 because there's a pretty interesting ending to this story, but I'll leave that choice up to you. So anyway, as usual, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.